Today I'm going to be working on converting a dehumidifier into an air conditioner. This will be the new condenser here. It is 5mm copper tubing. So I'm not sure what to do. I think I might have the copper tubing in here permanently with a water pump. But the issue with that is if the unit gets knocked, all the cooling water will just spill out. If however I use a water filter housing, the whole thing is sealed. If it does get knocked over, water isn't going to spill everywhere. So it's clear to me that this has got a 12V power supply inside it because it's running a 12V fan, but I don't know if the power supply inside will be powerful enough to run a 12V fan and a water pump. I may have to have a look at it. I'll just be using that pump there, but I'm not sure where I'll put it. I might have to have it outside the unit, or there might be space inside to let me circulate the water around. I'll just have to have a good think about it. I'm onto the stage of winding the new condenser. Here is where I'm up to. The condenser has now been removed. It is very fragile, the fins are very thin. And all I've done is I've just crimped the ends shut to keep out contaminants and moisture. And basically here's the discharge here, that'll be coming outside the casing. Where the two cases join, I'll just have holes drilled. And this is the new condenser here, which will be water cooled. And that will just be stuck right on the side of the unit. All I need to do is install the filter dryer and solder it all together. So this is a filter dryer I got. It's 30 grams and it was quite a bit bigger than I was expecting it to be, but I should still have space for it. Okay, now I'm at the stage where I've got water flowing through the new condenser, and I'm just putting the thing under vacuum just now, and I'll then close off the high side and start putting in the refrigerant. The amount to put in is liquid. So it's working not too bad. The air coming out of it is pleasantly cold actually. It's not freezing like the air on your car air conditioner, but it is quite an improvement over the warm air that used to come out of it, and indeed just circulating room temperature air. It's working actually quite nicely. I'll put a temperature probe on it once I get it all put back together. Power consumption is 218 watts just now. We've got the water going through the heat exchanger, and the heat exchanger is surprisingly effective. The gas going in, that starts roasting, I can't touch that coming out. It's just very slightly warm, so that's working really nicely. I suppose you could use it as an air source heat pump as well. We did get a Lay Z spa, so we could maybe use it to heat that, I don't know. So remember, this is an R134A substitute, consisting of the R290 and R600A mixed together. I can't remember the exact percentages, but I do have a video on it, and that seems to be the correct pressures there. Press unfortunately is absolutely roasting, so could maybe play about with it a bit more, but that's roughly where they should be anyway. I just need to work out a way, like maybe when I put the casing back on I'll not need to seal those parts up, because I was thinking if I keep these big gaps open, then that can maybe allow air to circulate elsewhere around the unit, keeping the thing cooler. I think I finally got my charge right. 40 psi on the low side, high side's disconnected, and this thing does heat water quite fast. when the ambient temperature, I'll be using the water flowing through a radiator to cool it, but when ambient temperature gets too high, there's a very high chance the compressor will cut out on overload. The compressor is actually fine just now. It's very warm, but I could keep my hand on it, and that is because I'm getting really cold refrigerant returning to cool it. But if the ambient temperatures go up too high and the discharge pressures go up too much, we're not going to get the cooling. Now I've just got the very difficult task of getting the casings back on. But as you can see, there's condensation all the way right up to the compressor, nice and cold. This water's already up to 25 degrees. It was 19 when I first filled it about 15 minutes ago. Well, here it is all back together, and now it just sounds like a really loud freezer, so at least it's working, sort of. Got my bucket of water here, see what the temperature is. Yeah, it's 27 degrees. So yeah, I need water that's about 20 degrees C or under for it to really work properly, and that would prevent the compressor from overheating and then going out in overload. But I've never had this thing trip on overload. I've been just going by feel, and if it's too hot to touch, I've been switching it off. But now that I've no access to the compressor, I just have to go by power consumption. The air coming out is reasonably cold at least. So the ambient temperature was 19.5 and the temperature coming out of this is 14.2. So well, it's not too bad, but at least it's better than nothing. That was just gone down to 13.9 now. 13.9 degrees C coming out, so I'll just remove this. Just leave it about in the air a little bit. And I'll eventually go up to about ambient temperature. Yeah, which is about 19 degrees. Thereabouts. It's getting even colder now. I think air conditioners typically blow air that's about 5 degrees C or so. But, well, this thing's still dropping the temperature. I'm quite impressed. It's probably going to go down below 8 degrees, so that is working really good. I keep the fan speed on low because if I put it too fast, then it's going to be even more load for the system to cope with, and that's pretty much running overload as is. Because the water temperature is now 29 degrees, and it really should be down at 20 if the thing is to really work effectively. Right, so here's the final performance figures. The air going in is at 18 degrees Celsius and the air coming out is hovering around about 10, sometimes drops to 9. I think it's just a thermometer error, but sometimes I've been watching it seems to be roughly halving the air temperature that's going in, so I'm happy with that. Plus it makes a really good water heater.